Call the meeting to order in accordance with state statute section 84-1412. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the north wall in the council chambers for public information. Join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Debbie, would you do roll call, please?
Stokely.
Here.
Penrose.
Here.
Swenson.
Here.
Boozy.
Here.
Hugo.
Here.
Smith.
Here. Consent agenda, city appointed boards and commissions, we have none this evening. Fire and Rescue Departments, West Point Fire Department. Accept the resignation of Chris Sheep effective June 2nd, 2025. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, treasurer's report. Everything's okay there. Claims, everybody get a chance to look at that, look them over. You got copies of some other ones in front of you there. Just need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Rusty.
Second.
Seconded by Tom. Cast your votes, please. Okay. Public hearing. Review the proposed redevelopment Area 3 General Development Plan along with the blights and substandard.
Why don't we just kind of postpone that for a little bit?
They're not here yet.
It's here yet.
Bids, we have none. Current business, Sunshine Senior Center, accept the 2025 Title III, Title III-C, Title III-E, and service contracts for the Northeast Nebraska Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah, this is just starting a formality to approve the contracts so that you get their grant funds. We do this every year.
Any discussion on this from the council? Okay, just need a motion to approve. Motion made by Jerry,
Second.
seconded by Shay. Cast your votes, please. Item 2, the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Quarterly Report. Tina's not here this evening. It's just the same as she has been, 5,000 for April, May, June.
We should make the report.
I like to hear her spiel though usually, so.
She's gonna give a good one next time
Yeah,
she's in
what the heck?
New York conference.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Rusty, seconded by Jerry. Cast your votes, please. Item 3, discuss traffic on Washington and Sherman Street.
This was briefly discussed at the last meeting, and Chief Adams is here too to answer any questions. We were talking about two things. One was limiting truck traffic, mainly semi-traffic, through Washington Street and Sherman Street. And then we also are going to add all the width vehicles. One of the challenges with the state statute is that it exempts farm machinery. Okay, so the best way we can address that at this point is with all the width vehicles. John, do you have anything?
It's just been recent complaints of the semi-traffic going down the streets. My phone calls to people on the other side of town who hauls theirs. Your feed companies have independent truck drivers. They type it in their GPS through their quickest routes coming from anywhere to go to Sherman Street or Washington Street, but it's not, doesn't work on the streets. It's not safe, it's tearing up the streets. The general public that lives along there does not appreciate it. So there's no reason to not have them go around and make it safer to go to 32 to 18 road, wherever they need to go.
This is just for through traffic, not for like deliveries to the hospital and stuff like
No,
that.
no, affect the delivery to the
Yeah.
hospital or the nursing home.
Right.
We did something kind of a little
Yeah.
similar this years ago with the hazardous chemicals when they were hauling among tanks and stuff through. And we posted that sign, so we just need to expand on it a little bit.
As far as the width of the vehicle, in the past, we've had some farmers hauling hay equipment down the road, with rowers or the hauling bales, and that's just too wide. People know that little at the time, it's going to be a bad accident, so.
2025-14, prohibiting trucks and oversized vehicles from traveling east or west on Washington Street and Sherman Street. Need a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion made by Rusty, seconded by Mark. Cast your votes, please. Okay. Item 4, discuss amending the ATV and UTV permit fees. John?
The way it's written now, it doesn't clear it, but it's my understanding when this was written years ago, it's $60 a year. Then it's prorated down, but the proration was for people who would buy one in the middle of the year. Every April it's due, it's $60 a year. If someone were to buy one now, they would prorate it $10, but individuals that come in want that $10 off, $5 off. If you can afford to drive one of them around town, you can afford $50. So if you want to buy a new one, we'll give you a discount for the first year. We're looking at just changing that wording. It needs to be registered in town, used on our city streets, and $60 a year is how I'd like it.
How many riders do you?
So, there are some that just, they wait a year, sometimes years, some, some just don't register. We don't see them on the streets, but it's not a large amount.
Could you send out renewals for that?
What's that?
Could you send out a renewal for that? I always forget. It's not because I don't want to do it, I just forget.
We can run it in the paper. We can run it in the
I don't read the paper. Yeah, I mean,
You can hang a flyer up while you're tired.
it's just a weird month, it's April, you know, and I don't have a problem paying the $60, trust me. I just always forget about it.
That's not a problem, to let everybody know it's pre-registered. I do.
We can figure that out.
And Brett's always good about it.
Yeah.
And we're friendly about it anyway.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Not-
we've never actually wrote that ticket. We made them come down and get it registered.
Yeah.
It's more about the prorating than it is about
The
this.
prorating,
Yeah.
we paid $60, that's all we're saying is get it done. We've never actually, no one's ever fought it, and we all forgot.
So basically, if you're a month late, you're still gonna pay the $60.
Yes.
Is that okay with you, Wade?
Absolutely, I just forget about it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll make a motion. We need a motion for that, or what's
I
that?
need to read a resolution. Resolution 2025-15, amending the permit fees for all-terrain vehicles and utility-type vehicles. Now you can make that motion, Shay.
Make a motion.
Second. Motion made by Shay, seconded by Rusty. Cast your votes, please. Okay. Item 5, resolution authorizing eminent domain, no. I'm on the wrong one. Discuss the agreement between the West Point Rescue and QMC. Drew or Brandon, would you like to get up and?
Okay, I'm Drew Weimer, Vice President of West Point Rescue. About a year and a half ago, we had switched to in-house billing, which has worked out a lot better for us. During that, we discovered some errors and issues from QuickNet, our prior billing service that we paid for. We've had a lot of back and forth discussions through the city's attorney. Essentially, we filed litigation against them, is that the correct term?
Correct.
Filed litigation against them, they made an offer, we didn't agree with the initial offer, we rebutted and back and forth, but the most recent offer they made, I guess I should back up a little bit, we feel that the city and the rural board, because they get half of the money, we're shorted somewhere in that $50,000 to $80,000 range for either unbilled or uncollected, or just flat out not billed at all. And after we were able to back bill some of them by the time they filed with insurance and whatnot, the most recent offer was provided by QuickNet Claims to settle at $35,000. And we feel that's close enough to make a settlement, not continue on, just settle and move on, so.
mean, right.
45 we didn't have, haven't had.
Thanks for finding that.
And these guys put a lot of time into that too.
Yeah, appreciate you guys
It's
looking
very
at that.
disappointing because I'm sure there's a lot of small agencies that are in the same boat, but once this is done, I believe we can't talk about it essentially, but
They've asked for a confidentiality provision in the settlement agreement to figure out some work on that.
There's no
Is
more-
that so like these other agencies don't get a hold of it, Damien? Yeah.
Likely, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think they.
Yeah. Hmm. Maybe they'll read our paper.
Well, I guess part of it was too, you guys ran across claims that had basically aged out, that you couldn't even go back and.
correct, each insurance company has time to find
Yeah.
requirements. There were some that were already passed by the time we got clarification on what their spreadsheet was explaining. And we didn't get the world's greatest clarification the whole time anyway, it was kind of us doing enough research to figure it out, so. They flat out just didn't bill some. And some of them, we don't really know why it just got in a holding pattern and never touched. So.
Hmm.
Any more discussion on this?
We're probably not gonna get a settlement though without the confidentiality though.
Probably not.
No.
They're gonna want it.
Yeah.
But I'll have to talk to them about, I mean, I just don't know enough about budgeting issues in the city budget and what gets disclosed, so I'll have to talk to Tom about how we work that to make sure that, there are certain obligations that the city has regarding its public financing and budget versus the confidentiality they're gonna want in the settlement, so we'll have to see what we can tweak on that or how that's gonna work.
But at the end of the day, Damien, this is gonna end up in the minutes. That's public
That's,
information.
yeah, yeah.
Had been, last time Drew was here.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yep.
Paid enough, that's his job.
yes.
Need a motion?
Need a motion? to
I'll make that
approve.
motion.
Motion made by Ryan,
Second.
seconded by Shade. Cast your vote, please. Now we'll go back. We'll now open the public hearing on proposed redevelopment Area 3, general redevelopment plan along with the flag and substandard study.
We waited for you all. Basically, what's in your package is you've got two items. West Point proposed redevelopment area 3 general redevelopment plan. And then you have the city of West Point, Nebraska Light and substandard proposed redevelopment area 3, of which was approved, both were approved by the planning commission. And Walt's here to walk you through the two items. You can go to the podium right now.
I'm Earl Schroeder with Five Road Rural Planning, and we were contracted to perform a light study for an area, portion of the downtown area, a little bit to the north of the downtown area, and we provide guidance with that area. So the process for adopting a light study is, we prepare the document based on guidance from the city, as far as what areas to include in that light study. Then we look at different factors, which are in state statutes, identified state statutes, and a lot of them have to do with the physical conditions of the buildings, the infrastructure in the downtown area, and also kind of more data, that we get from the county assessor, city plans, resources, different city resources. So just going through, and so we have to come up with a determination that it meets the conditions for both lighting and substandard. And like I said, as far as for the substandard factors, 16, we look at dilapidation and deterioration of both those two factors, which is condition of the buildings. We get that in two different ways. Residential structures, we look at the assessor data that has ratings of conditions of the residential structures. And then they don't have anything for downtown buildings, but we do a visual of those to determine deterioration, like, with the brick, wood, manufactured within the buildings. Also, we look at the infrastructure. Also, age or obsolescence, we look at the age that the buildings were constructed. We get those estimates from the county assessor website. And we did meet all three of those factors: conditions that endanger life by property, fire, and other causes. And in this case, we looked at the city water lines that are available to fight fires in the area. And there is a recommendation that that you should have 6-inch water lines to provide adequate fire protection. So that's why we kind of triggered that factor. Then also we looked at kind of subjective factors, and on those factors, all of them are summarized on page 24. Unemployment data, the result of national average, state or national average, we rarely find that as a factor. The average age of the residential or commercial units in the area is at least 40 years old. Again, that's that age factor. Quite often in our communities, a lot of the buildings are 100 years old or plus. So that's a factor that we counted. More than half the plotted or subdivided property in the area is unimproved land, which has been within the city for 40 years and has remained unimproved during that time. We really don't find that very often. And then per capita income is lower than the national average for the city. We don't find that very often. And then we do look at the census population from 2010 and 2020, and it kind of gives us how many people live in each block here, in 2010, 2020. And so there was a decline or decrease in population in that area, in the residential homes. Any questions on the light state or any factors that we look at for that? Or on the area that was selected, Did you open just the light study itself, or the public or the light study, and then the development plan? Okay. So that's kind of it for the light study.
Okay. So we're gonna do the light study first.
Yeah, the light study should come first, and then we develop.
And I've got to flip it around on your agenda, so we'll do light study first.
Okay. Does the council have any questions? And we'll read the resolution number 2025-16, resolution of the city council of the city of West Point, Nebraska, declaring a portion of the city blighted and substandard. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Made by Rusty,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Cast your votes, please.
And I'll get into the. Yeah.
Okay, the general redevelopment plan for area number 3 is, again, it's the state statutes require the items that the redevelopment plan should include. It has to do with a lot of maps of the current conditions, the land uses, and then think of this as kind of like a framework for the redevelopment plan right now and in the future, so that if somebody proposes something to happen in that area that will be potentially coming down the tax increment financing budget, this is kind of the framework for that. It says what's eligible to happen in that area, to be eligible for TIF or redevelopment of the city infrastructure. So it's really basically documentation of what's here right now, what the land uses are, what potential could be redevelopment activity in the downtown area, and, you know, what are things that could be changed within that downtown area. So again, it's just a map of the whole area and then just documentation of those conditions.
The only thing we want to point out there, Lowell, is we got that little cutout on the north end. That's probably going to be the previous spot study, so we can dovetail that directly into this, correct?
Right. So the reason why this area here and then farther to the north is redevelopment.
That's in the
So
previous.
that's why it looks a little bit odd there. But we couldn't come back and relight the same area. So we kind of mess up the data.
Yeah, close to public hearing.
Are there any more questions on this? Then I will close the public hearing. Does the council have any questions? No? So I'll read resolution number 2025-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of West Point, Nebraska, approving the general redevelopment for an area within the City of West Point. Someone make a motion to approve this resolution? Motion made by Mark,
I'll second.
seconded by Shay. Cast your votes, please. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, appreciate your time.
Item 6, schedule a budget hearing workshop, 125, 126.
The preferred dates right now are the 28th or 29th in July. Yep. Usually do the last week in July. Time, we can be flexible on the time. The one thing that I will have on the 28th, and schedule around that as a planning commission meeting later that day. So if you want to go early on the 28th, or you want to go early on the 29th, whatever works best. What are we doing at noon, Shay?
On the 28th?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm going to be here. I won't be on the 29th. But I'll be on 28th. Right? How's everybody looking at me?
Pull out your calendar.
Oh yeah, man. I'm the only one that. Jerry, what are you digging out a sewer on the 28th or 29th?
That's right.
Oh, there you go. Then say something. As senior council member.
I don't know what I'm doing. The 28th would be optimal.
Like I said, we can go earlier than, 5:30 if you want to, or
Noon would be great.
however you want to. I mean, depending on questions and comments, we're gonna have a couple different, little different spin on the budget this year because of the levy project and everything. So, allow us a little bit of extra time, but I'm thinking from last year we covered it in probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So, if you wanna do a meeting thing, we can certainly do that, bring some food in and do the budget.
I can make the 28th work.
20th at noon sounds great. 12:30.
Sounds good to me.
12:30. 28th at 12:30. I'll make a motion for the budget meeting to be at July 28th at 12:30.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Shay, seconded by Rusty. Cast your votes. Okay. Item 7, discuss the fire rescue expansion and special election ballot requirements.
All right, I included in your packet, some feedback that I got from Madison County Clerk as to what it would take to bring the project to a ballot. There's a couple samples. She roughly estimated some of the costs, but there's the option of coming to polls or think by the time we get the ballot language together and work with our bonding company, D.A. Davidson and Damien, we're conservatively looking 90 days out before the ballot could actually hit.
That I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know the deadlines.
that'd be close. So that's the ballot information. Your second option is to move forward with the eminent domain process. Approve the $150,000 agreement and the agreement with Good Life Architects. Both of them actually would require the agreement with the Good Life Architects proposal. And then I got put in my memo, I said that once the funds are paid to the Eagles, the project can move forward, but subject to the court process for additional payment. Damian was talking about they were bringing in 3 appraisers and go through that process right here.
Correct, yeah.
Also, my understanding is that once we make that payment, after a set period of time, we can begin the process, and we're gonna have to, the Eagles are gonna have to deal with the current tenants there, right? And that, you might wanna elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so once the 3 appraisers come in, they'll set a value. That value can then be paid into court, subject to the right to appeal. But the project can proceed once the money's paid into court and that initial appraisal has been done, so you'll be able to proceed with the project. Also, with regard to the condemnation, there are, my understanding is there are tenants in there. When we were negotiating the purchase option agreement, the Eagles were gonna take care of the tenants and whatever lease right those tenants had. If we move forward with eminent domain, they have an interest in the property that is also subject to eminent domain. It's effectively the city's like taking their lease. And right now, I don't know the details of their lease or what the value of a lease is the difference between the rental rate set in the lease and the market rent in the community. So the damages potentially they would suffer is if they've got a below market lease and they have to go get a lease somewhere else and the market rate is higher, then there could be some differential there. I don't know what it is. I wouldn't expect it to be much if it is there at all, but I just don't know what what their lease says or what the terms are right now as we sit here. But that's a part of it too.
So then there's the third option, you know, abandon the project. But I think we've got to get something moving. You have one direction or another.
I certainly don't think third option is an option to abandon it. Yeah,
From an economic standpoint, I agree.
yeah.
Nick's really, the rural fire board president couldn't be here. He did forward a letter to all the council members, supporting moving ahead with the project.
Mhm.
Unless you want me to read that letter in detail.
Dizzle?
No.
Have we had any communication since the last meeting?
I have received nothing from them other than the request for this agenda. Okay, we got that, what, Friday, last Thursday or Friday? That's not communication so far from your attorney.
Mo, you got something?
I would like to, can I,
Yeah, this guy.
okay, I haven't been involved with this a whole lot, I mean, just haven't been informed and everything. Anyway, long story short, 2 weeks ago, and I just wanted to make this, I'll know to you guys that this is an option, but, Princess said they would be more than willing to sell this wooden structure over here. Okay, which would be kitty corner from the fire station. Still, you could see if rescue squads leave, not leave, things like that. Cost-wise, I think it hugely would actually save you money, not moving a bunch of utilities, alleys, all that kind of stuff. I talked about pricing, I just found out this 2 weeks ago, okay? So, I guess cost-wise as far as building, I don't think it would cost any more just to put a rescue building there. I mean, take what you have existing, or one building over here, take that property away, and just move it over to that spot over there, okay? I'm not a member of the Eagles, but I am a partner in the business, and we've got a warehouse that's landlocked, and I know the frustration of that, so I see their side of that. They bought the property with the intention of someday maybe doing something with it. Whether they might want to put in a party room, where they can rent out graduation weddings, whatever. Maybe they want, to do something like that, okay? Basically, by eminent domain, you're taking that option away for them to expand. You're not hurting their business right now. I mean, I've just discussed this with some of you guys, and yeah, you're not hurting their business. But you're hurting a business's dream or maybe future. They'll be able to, still do what they're doing for the next 5 years, 10 years with the eminent domain. So I'm not saying that that's not going to do that. I'm just thinking that technically, in some ways, and this is just my personal opinion, and it's, like I said, I just brought it out, and I wanted you guys to hear this, because this is something that you have somebody willing to sell you the property. You can put up the exact same thing you were going to do over here, just across the street, and it would hopefully make your community get on better. I mean, I really feel that there's a division in the community about this, and you have. I don't have to explain to you guys. You guys have been involved with this way more than I have. But, it would, I think, make the public feel better about putting this. Now, I did talk a little bit of time about this, because he goes, well, that would have to be a vote of the people to build a new building, okay? I can't understand it, but right now we're to the point of you're thinking about putting this up to the vote of the people anyway. So why not just put it up to the vote of the public to actually put up a building there that is, the property is willing to be given to us, that is basically 100 feet away from where we have the building, and we can still use the same meeting room, whatever, and there'll also be more room to expand that later because you'll have more property.
Mo, just for clarification, are you talking about the one building or both of those buildings?
Okay, I am talking just the wood structure.
Okay.
Okay, when I talked to Jason the other day, we were just talking and this came up, and he goes, I would like to keep that metal building.
Okay.
He goes, I would tin the north wall, and the rest of it could go. Long story short, he told me the building's old, it's wood structure, he can't insure it anymore, nobody will take it on insurance, so it's just a liability for him anyway. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that this is an option. I'm not saying you have to change everything. It is what it is. I do feel like we do need an expansion, personally, but I do not feel we need a new fire station. So, I mean, those are, I guess, my feelings. I don't think that this building here is in good enough shape for the rest of my lifetime. But I like a new fire station, yes. Realistically, though, to spend that kind of money for what we have and what we need. I think we're fine with what we have. I really don't think it's gonna cost any more to put up the same building that we're gonna put up over here across the street. We gotta get rid of the house, we have to get rid of the building. Utilities, I'm thinking about more utilities and sewer and stuff that would have to be moved over here and over there. And I don't think there's anything underneath that building, because that building's been there forever. So it probably even saved money on construction costs and stuff like that. But that's, again, that's all I kind of want to say. I hate to drag this out any further either. I mean, you guys have been through this for so long, gone through the mud and everything else. But I just found out about this was an actual option, and I thought that the community should know it as an option. So,
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Mo. Tom, elaborate on what he said about, we would have to go to the public vote with that. Because it is an actual new structure.
It would be a new structure, scale structure.
I see, okay,
Based on the state statute, the way it's structured right now, we're doing an addition.
right, right,
This is within those parameters.
sure,
If we go beyond that, then I think we have to live it out.
I see, okay.
Rick Moore, President of Rescue. I've been here for most of these meetings, and hard it is people not being here for all the meetings and know what's going on. So prior to this, Mo, you just knew it about 2 weeks ago. 4 years ago, we had this conversation with the city and with the rural about doing that over there. That was my first choice to do it. And ultimately, after we all got together and put our heads together, we said, no, we didn't want that because we're going to have traffic coming this way, fire trucks going out that way, and we have the same problem that we have. So we've already addressed that a long time ago, and we left that on the board. Tom even talked about this in one of the meetings. We said we've already addressed it. We want to move forward this way. And we've been beating this thing for 4 years now. And it's time to do it. And as far as put it to the vote, no, we're not going to put it out to the vote of the people. The people already voted for these people right here to make these decisions, right or wrong, what they have to do. So it's like, it's their decision, right? It doesn't need to go out to the vote. The votes have already been done. And I've been here for all these meetings, and ultimately, we've had 3 or 4 different things that, hey, we're going to do this. And then it's like, come back, and the next time you want something different. You want a diagram. Then you want the cost of this. Then you want that. Every time there's another excuse to delay it longer. We just keep pushing it down. So it's either one way tonight, it's done. It's either we're going to end it or move on. It's just simple as that. We've done it enough. But thanks for that, Mo, but we've already been down that road. I just had to let you know that. So we didn't need one, so thank you.
Thanks, Rick. What's the council's wishes here? Ideas? Got 3 choices. Ballot, eminent domain, or drop the whole thing.
Well, I know Tom Stratman has always said that, having it in 2 different places just isn't gonna work. And, I can see that.
It's continuity of service issue.
Pardon me?
Continuity of service. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding is sometimes fire guys might be driving an ambulance or.
Yeah, we just had to do that last week. I mean, it's not the best deal at all. I mean, you're coming down to either, if we do a different building or whatever, and whatever that cost may be, it's gonna end up raising real estate taxes and land taxes. You go out and talk to the guys out in the farming area, you ask them if they're gonna, you wanna pay some more taxes? I don't think they're gonna say that. You ask any of the guys in West Point, including myself, I don't want, when my.
That's my last valuation.
That's every year.
Went up last year,
The last 3 years, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And I think everyone could agree to a standpoint that a new station proposed is not even a need, right? That's not even a need, a want even really. It's not fiscally responsible for anybody.
Well, I feel like I said, we've been messing with this a long time, and I think we need to make a decision. And if you need a motion, I'll make a motion that we go with eminent domain.
why is the third option off the table?
It's not off the table. He made
Well, but Ryan made the comment that it was not even an option. I'm just asking.
I think, I mean, the fact that we've gone through this for 4 years, and, I mean, we've come to multiple times to an agreement with the Eagles at this. I mean, and for whatever reason, there's been back and forth. I think even at the last council meeting, there was a prime example of just how frustrating that process has gone. You know, to put it to bed and just say that we're fine with what we have that's not.
What's lost other than time? Is there money that's lost, or is it just time?
How much construction costs gone up in the last 4 years? Probably gonna cost another $500 million more, over 4 years ago.
So, other than inflation, time is lost.
So you're okay with throwing $500 million away?
Rusty said it last meeting, $2 million is just gonna get the shell.
That's all we were wanting with the shell.
We got the kitchen, got all the infrastructure over there, all we need is a shell for the vehicles in.
Don't need anything else?
Make a second.
Motion made by Tom, seconded by Mark. Any more discussion on this? Cast your votes, please. Okay, motion carried. Item 8, review the employee pay plan.
Okay, you've got two pay ordinances in your packet. Met with the admin committee, it's been a couple weeks ago now, basically looking and evaluating what some of the costs have gone up and in relationship to salaries, just overall expenses. Kathy and I attended the finance conference, and with the new budget process this year, they're allowing for the 5.17% growth.
Yeah.
So, you know, with that in mind, we were targeting at 5%. That's what both of these are, the pay options. The other thing that we're looking at is including a shift differential pay to help with police department. And John, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, that would probably be helpful.
We are competing with Blair, Fremont, and Norfolk as far as officers go all day. We had one officer left us for Blair already. For what they offered, it was nothing for her to drive that far. She put pencil to paper and it doesn't work out for her. We have another one trying to go to Omaha. That's the choice, whether that's conducive, that's another question. But we had to look at it as an incentive to keep people here, kind of make them think, why would we want to drive to Norfolk, Fremont, or Blair if they have enough coming this way? The main issue with our officers is the scheduling. We do our best to give everybody 2 weekends off for the rotate holiday. It works really well. It's that overnight shift that drives everybody nuts, but it's necessary. It has to happen. Rotate around, and then even some of the evening shifts when it comes around. You give an incentive of $1 an hour for one shift and $2 an hour for another. That's an extra chunk of money. It's something they consider. I ran it by the guys. They do appreciate that thought process. So, just something to consider to keep it. You know, you can get 2 or 3 of our guys getting some extra money for the shifts they work. It's going to keep them wanting to be here, not to want to disappear on us. I mean, we invest time and money to everybody. You know, to keep bringing them in and having them retrain and having them buy.
We talked about what does it cost to train an officer?
Yeah, it's
Right.
5,000 just to get
Exactly.
them. So you're talking another couple thousand.
And we just lost one after what, 18 months?
Yeah.
How many have we lost in the last year?
So we lost the one.
Okay.
The potential of losing the second one, Omaha's gonna decide, I think, the end of July.
Okay.
I mean, the last 8 years.
Yeah.
We were down to 3-man park.
I remember that.
We're just trying to keep the one here and proven that, you know, we're willing to pay them some.
Yep.
So,
It's twofold. We've talked about this for the last 5 years since COVID. I mean, a government job for a city used to be the good job. Now it's the lowest paying job.
yeah.
Right, and then same with police, and you're here trying to attract talent that's gonna stay here, so you have continuity in your department.
Exactly.
That's a challenge, and, I think that's very important that we focus on keeping that.
From our end, a positive for the PD, the shift differential. I mean, we're the only difference between us and the rest of the city is we do have, we're 24/7 coverage.
Right.
We have to have.
They're the only entity in the city that does 24/7 coverage, so, I mean, any other departments, obviously, if they work beyond their schedule hours, it's time and a half.
Mhm.
So that would not apply to them.
Just something to consider, and like I said, your officers would appreciate it, but it's your, as you say.
Thank you.
And the thing of it is, to your point, Rusty, it's about getting competitive outside the municipal market, because that's what's eating our lunch right now. You know, we've always honed in what other municipalities are doing and how their pay structures are, and it's gotten to the point where you have to expand beyond that.
I mean, with linemen,
Yeah.
for example, right?
Yeah.
Linemen, we train every lineman for coming down here or someone else.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
you know, that's a huge investment on our behalf, and, I mean, no one likes spending the money, but a few dollars an hour here and there, department-wise, is a big difference. And gives people to maybe move back here, come back.
It does, it provides other opportunities when positions open. The other thing that the second ordinance has, option 2, is we kind of created a longevity pay scenario. Basically, it's just, you know, a little bit of appreciation for the time served. We're seeing other communities kind of evolving into that. Pretty minimal. I mean, 1 to 4 years of employment is $125. 5 to 9 is $150. 10 to 14 is $225, and 15 plus is $300, and if you're 20 years plus, it's $500. You know, considering the changes in staff we've seen over the last 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, you know, I mean, there's been some significant changes there, so it's just another thing that we can put out there and help attract.
I mean, hell, the dairy hours are $2,000 signing, right? I mean, it's just so hard to compete with that.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Any more discussion on this, or? Read the ordinance.
City of West Point, Nebraska, ordinance number 1454, an ordinance of the City of West Point, Nebraska adopting a pay plan for certain officers and all employees, repealing an ordinance number 1448, and all other motions, resolutions, and ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, prescribing the time when this ordinance shall be in force and effect, and to provide for the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
I need a motion to introduce and suspend the 3 readings.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Option 1. Which one are we gonna do?
They need to decide.
Yeah.
They need to decide which option you want, option 1 or option 2.
Do you have to read them both, or?
It's the top's the same.
The preamble is the same on both.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
The only difference is the longevity pay.
Yes.
Yes.
So we can add that, everything in option 1 plus longevity pay.
Option 2 has all of it. in it.
Option 2.
Yeah.
Yes, all.
Has it all.
Make a motion for option 2.
I'll
Yeah.
second that.
So,
Or do you have to read
we
it?
introduce and suspend the 3 readings.
Yep. I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Second.
Motion made by Ryan, seconded by Tom. Cast your votes, please. Okay. Motion for final passage.
Second.
For option 2. Motion made by Mark, seconded by Shay. Cast your votes. Okay. Item 9, approve of a council affiliated claim of Hugo Plumbing and Heating for services and supplies. Need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Rusty,
Second.
seconded by Shay. Cast your votes. Item 10, approval of special designated liquor licenses. Win or lose, we still booze. LLC doing business at Rush's Liquor Store for the West Point Community Theater Trailer Park Country on July 19, 2025. Need a motion to approve this liquor license?
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mark,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. Okay. Okay, got resolution 2025-18. 18 to approve the application payment number 6 in the amount of $417,946.37 to A&R Construction for West Point levee improvements. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Rusty,
Second.
seconded by Tom. Votes. Motion carried. Got a resolution to approve application and payment number 2 in the amount of $403,791.87 to Elkhorn Paving for the West Point Alley paving improvements. It was 2018, 19. Need a motion to approve? Motion made by Jerry,
Second.
seconded by Shay. Cast your votes. Okay. Reports. I think it's everybody, I don't know if everybody's seen, but they're really good along with the levee. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Down the curve down there now.
Yeah, there's a big push right now to get that
Yeah.
kind of closed out before the fair time.
Looks good though.
I think all saving will be pretty much in place, and I'll have to do some finish work, but at the end of the day, it'll be good.
Any of the streets open by you, Brian, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, it all looks good. Those guys are ready to move along.
Now, the weather cooperates.
Yeah.
They get it done.
Shay in charge of weather now.
That's bad. Not good.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, John wants to, yeah.
John and I and Bruce, we've been talking a little bit about where things are going with the county as far as the emergency services or 911.
I'm your representative.
Yeah, I'm your rep. There's some things there that I think are a little concerning. I wanted John to bring to you.
There was always that, what started it was the issue of whether they wanted to farm out dispatch to another county and the cost. That is, it's died. But there's also an interlocal agreement that needs to be re-signed. And the interlocal agreement is pretty much like it was before, to where West Point, Wisner, Beamer, Bancroft has a say in whether or not dispatch can be disbanded and sent to another agency. The county board was advised not to sign that, to relook at some other option. It's to the best interest of West Point to keep us having a say in it. The surcharges on cell phones, if that even increases, we all pay taxes. You go by any of the communities, you know, the people that it affects, dispatch affects, it's more town than it is county, but it's a county-wide dispatch. It's a necessary entity that the county has to keep. You give them the legal right, or they take out the ability of us to have a say in it, and they decide, hey, we're gonna have another county dispatch.
Well, that's my question for you. Does that lead you to believe that that is not bad?
Exactly.
It is
Yes,
going to be coming up
It can
soon.
come up again.
Right.
It's a cost that, there's always gonna be a cost to it. And that's the thing, is when it's happened in the past for other communities, they have someone else dispatch. In that first year, it works well. And then the next year, there's this new bill for an extra $200,000
Right.
because they want it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Or they take away the personal part of it. We're not gonna dispatch this entity, or we're not gonna give you this service. They take that away, what we have. So keeping it here, keeping it personal, keeping it work for our community,
Very important.
we need that say. So down the road, whenever this new they haven't drew one up yet, but if they come down with something saying the city of West Point should have no say in whether or not dispatch stays in Cumming County, my advice is no. Don't agree to that, but that's coming down the line. So, I've been talking with Wisner's mayor, just because I know Terry real well. They're on board too, but that's what they gotta do. Would this lead to them saying that we need to pay, West Point needs to pay something? That's always a possibility, as long as it's not astronomical, it's understandable. But at this point in time, we all pay taxes, we all pay county taxes, it's all there. To just point blank say they don't want it anymore and someone else can do it, and then we're at the will of whoever, at what cost, we don't know, does not make sense.
And I want to support what John's saying with that, keeping it local, for the fact is that if you farm that out, it's like our local staff of people know our roads, know our community, they know our people. And it's like when there's the road down, they know to tell us where to go, et cetera. And that's the thing you would lose if it's down free, because they aren't going to know that stuff and they aren't going to care. So it's like, it's vital that they know what's happening in our community and they direct us in the right spot. So it's key to keep them. Yeah, it's key to keep them here.
Yeah, you see that type of stuff, John, like further to the north and west, where you've got a large, expansive area, Region 26, or
Most people don't realize it, but the state patrol took dispatch and put it all in Lincoln.
Yep.
And when they took it out of Norfolk, it messed everything up. Those dispatchers, they do their job, but they have no clue where they're sending a deputy or wanting someone, and they can't explain it to them. To where here, we can explain it. You know, being it's personal, the dispatchers grew up here, they know whose house or whatever, so, yeah.
How long ago was it? Tough one, excuse me, Jay, and it's a tough one. I mean, like Nicole's getting in there and helping out. I mean, they're falling in, you know, without anything. She's just going there and saying, hey, they know they need help and they're going up there. So it's important.
How long ago did we sign the last interlocal agreement, or was that a county thing there?
So that interlocal is probably.
That's 15 years old, probably.
That's what I mean, so it hasn't gotten brought up in a while.
No,
Yeah.
but this has brought it to a head, and they're
Sure.
trying to decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to be fair, the county's looking out for their best interest.
Sure.
We just got to come to a certain agreement, and that's the one part I wouldn't, if they want to revisit it every year, that's fine. But to take away our ability to say one way or the other.
We just have to make sure we encourage the county to watch out for our best interests also.
Yes,
I mean, I mean, when I say that, I'm talking about all the communities within
Yeah.
Cumming County.
I mean, there's two people that represent West Point on the county board, well, they also represent the city of West Point in a roundabout way. They should be considered.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
John.
John.
I think that's everything.
I just, throwing it out there, I'm not gonna be here for the August meeting, so if we wanna move it, we can. I'm gone that week. Just thought, we do this week or that.
We have to initiate the leadership, put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I just thought about it now, so.
So,
That's poor planning.
Or planning on that, yeah. I just found out about this Friday.
I also might not be here for that.
That's
now, we're gonna have forum issues.
I also want to be
That's-
here for that meeting.
That's why I say we'll have our forum issues.
Yeah, found out about this Friday, so it's too late.
Are you serious or just?
Genuinely serious, yeah.
Well, I guess then what we could do is,
Well, I know we have that next meeting.
we got the meeting on July 9th. If we need to reset the date, we can reset it.
That's why I bring that up now, because we have that July 9th meeting.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because
Now you're gonna have to add a council agenda. We were just gonna do a CDA, but now we have to do a CDA and a council agenda.
Okay.
My apologies, just.
Yeah,
found out
sorry,
Friday.
sorry, Debbie.
Yeah. Friday was too late to make this agenda change.
I would just rather have her mad at you than me.
Yeah.
He's not really sorry.
Hey, I'm not saying.
It's the first time.
Here, you got anything?
No, I was touched with the paper work as we do with.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a good crew.
But all over the streets are back open.
I want to say that Sherman Street's at least a week out. Colfax should be opening up anytime. Unity's open. Unity Colfax is wide open. So.
that's gone, and it looks like the south part is leaning into the next one.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big safety hazard. It's on the west side, it looks like Hackberry.
Talking about records or?
Well, yeah, but they don't own that house.
Oh.
I think Tony Brown.
Tony Brock owns it.
Tony Brock owns it.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, that's,
Okay.
remember Dave was talking about it Monday?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
it,
Tom?
Nope.
Ryan?
I would agree with the paving. I think something also to add, like during that heavy rain that we had, with the addition of those drains, I think it's reduced
Oh,
some of that flooding that we've seen on the highway. Big difference. Yeah.
that intersection, Neely and Colfax, I drove by there with that waterway running across that intersection. And I glanced down at that drain at the southwest corner, the water wasn't going in the drain. So I drove around the block, well, they had a barricade set up and laying the barricade was diverting the water.
Yeah. That's because I think they were still under construction.
Yeah, they're still-
They didn't want it to undermine the,
Well, it was just sat there, it was all paved, but
right,
so it looked like it was gonna, when they moved the barricade, it was gonna work.
yeah. Other than that, Bruce, no.
Shane?
Two things. Is there a map of the wards on the city website? I don't need it on the ball, I can see that.
I don't believe it's on the city website.
It's on the county website.
Yeah, we'll see.
That seems like something that we should probably have on the city website.
The clerk has informed me that it will be.
The clerk is very good at her job. We all appreciate that.
She was working on it this afternoon.
Sounds good. Well, I just wanted to bring it up, I just wasn't, formally as opposed to just
Yeah.
to you, Debbie.
Yeah,
So,
appreciate it.
there you go. Also, I think that, I've brought this up before, but as things, I think, come on the agenda every month, I just think that it could be like more of a working agenda to the council members as opposed to a Friday at 5 agenda. I assume that there's things we know about before Friday at 5. I just assume that there is. Now, I mean, no. You cannot tell me that all of a sudden you're like Friday at 4:30, they're like, okay. So if that's not the case, as they come on the agenda, I think it'd be helpful for everybody to have an email sent out that says, hey, this is going to be, we added an agenda item, claims list, all these things at the 11th hour half the time anyway. I don't know why we can't get it known before the 11th hour as opposed to, we can always add it after, but we can never add it before. That seems weird to me. We get emails about claims most of the time after we get the agenda.
That's because of the billing process.
I'm not debating why that is.
Yeah,
But if we can get it after, we can probably get it before.
And I think more of a, I don't need to know about the.
Well, I don't need to know about every liquor.
Walk's gonna be on the agenda next.
Not every liquor license or anything. I'm just saying, like, just general, like, it just could be anything. Just the QMC, that settlement thing. I assume we knew about that before Friday at 4:30.
We did.
Just general things that I think are.
It's just helpful when.
Or when do we get the blight study?
Yeah. That's something you could add.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just, I don't need to know every different period that goes on the agenda. I'm just saying that things that people are coming here to talk about, it'd be good to know just maybe if we knew it ahead of time. I just don't know why we couldn't know it ahead of time. Is there a reason why we couldn't, I guess?
Yeah, to spend more
Not
time
from
with
those
the
things
bar.
right now that I can think of.
You what?
Not from those things that I can think of right now. I mean, we can.
Weekly or bi-weekly update.
Well, I'm not saying, once again, if you get something on Monday and it happens again on Tuesday, I'll need it every day. I'm just saying, like, I just don't know how there can't be a reason for that.
If we start doing that, I'm going to caution you
I
on
was just gonna say
those
this.
discussions amongst yourselves prior to a meeting, because that's illegal.
Sure.
That's part of the challenge with that.
Okay.
So that's why the emails go out the way they do. Don't reply all. And there's several of you that hit the damn reply all button.
Hey, you did last time too. Yeah, so there you go. Don't blame it on. Okay.
Too.
Okay.
Same with text message.
But it's easy to do. You
Right.
know what I mean? So that's
And more of
that's one of the more cautious things.
and I agree with that, and I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I knew exactly what you were gonna say, because we talked about this
Yep.
8 years now, but, more of a, you know, some memo notes type stuff, nothing in the weeds, nothing, just some items that we're dealing with, that's all.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And we've done it in the past, and it's worked well, right, so,
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be the agenda item, I guess, like, hey, in
yeah,
August or in July, the blight study's gonna be in front of you. I don't know why we need to wait till Friday to know that the blight study's gonna be here. Is that how, I mean, tell me if I'm crazy here. I mean, is that craziness? At the state of Nebraska, when they go to a legislative session, the 2 days before, they're like, oh, geez, I had no idea we're going to be talking about the property tax hike of 2026. I don't know what we're going to do about this, but I guess we'll find out at the meeting.
No,
There we go.
I see
Simple
where
as
you're-
that.
I see where you're coming from, but that's fine.
But what?
no, it just going back,
Okay.
there's some slippery slope with certain items.
Yeah, we just gotta
Because
be careful.
we can't, you know, me, Shane, Ryan, and Tom can't go sit at a bar and talk about these items, right?
Well, have me and you and Tom ever talked at a bar before?
Tom's fine with it.
I know. We never have. I doubt we will.
I agree with that.
I haven't been in a bar for 20 years.
Well, maybe you should try it. But,
Well, you do it in 10 minutes.
yeah.
But yeah, just, you know, a little more communication on some of that stuff would be helpful.
Maybe you need a staffer.
I do need a staffer.
Ryan, what are you gonna be doing?
Nothing.
You be my staffer?
No.
Anything else, Shay?
That's all I got.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made by Rusty,
Second.
second by Shay. Cast your votes, please.